So I said that I do want to take questions if there are any, but I want to ask a couple questions to some of the healthcare providers. Somewhere around 1.5 million Americans are being screened at the work site through a real population health management program each year. Are you receiving that data today? Would you want to receive that data today? How would you want to receive that data today? And could you do something about it? We are coming across folks in the workforce that have a 6.8 A1C that you've never seen in your practice. So anybody want to comment on that or answer the question?
I'm a physician with a hospital in Montana, which is part of Providence Health Systems. And we are actually trying to sell this approach to PHS, in which we go out, do health, I'm in occupational medicine, so we've been doing this for years. We go out, we screen populations, we risk stratify, and then we provide the information to primary care physicians and set people up for medical homes, enroll them in disease management programs. I totally agree. You're one of the few speakers I've ever heard who has said, you know, basically that wellness programs without total population health, the emperor has no clothes. And I think it's really important because healthcare dollars are scarce. And I think I see companies spending their very scarce healthcare dollars on junk all the time without linking it to actionable items. And it's a real shame, and I wish more people would speak up about this. So there are some systems doing this. We won't do a health fair screen unless we transmit the information to the providers.
You know, and I want to commend you on that, because unfortunately the vast majority of the screenings we do today are an event.
Right.
And there are leaders in our space of total population health management who get it, and they're definitely winning out there, in my opinion. But we need to, as an industry, serve ourselves better by doing something that has a demonstrated impact. And so we got to do something with the data. So I commend you on that approach. You know, for the physicians out there, what I'm going to ask a very specific question. Let's say that one of your patients walks in with the results from a biometric screening event that they completed at work, and it's got a list of things. One of them maybe is a 6.8 A1C and a glucose of, you pick it. What are you going to do with that data? You going to send them down to the lab and have them retested? I mean, is that valuable information to you? Any physician want to?
I'm a general internist in Southern California. Sorry. You know, it's very valuable information, and yes, I would go verify it and order all the other labs that you need to order and start treating them. But my objection is a lot of times these screenings are not evidence-based. People will come in with ultrasounds for aneurysms when they shouldn't have gotten it in the first place. And a lot of times people will come in and we already know the information. It was advertised in a way, this will make you healthier, this will prevent your stroke. I had this one woman came in with the list of things that she was going to buy. It wasn't a business base, she was going to buy it. And I looked through her record and pointed out she had already had it all. She just wasn't aware of it. So I would like to see the information if I don't know it. If I already know it, it's a complete waste of money. And I'd like it to be, definitely evidence-based and not, otherwise it's just for someone else's profit.
Do you have a motivated patient that you didn't have before?
I think you have an informed patient that you didn't have before. Motivation is a whole, a whole nother issue. Some people are motivated and some people are not. But if you didn't know it and it's abnormal, it's very, very good to know. But I'm not sure how often that happens.
And neither am I. I have a board member whose wife purchased online a set of self-ordered direct access testing. And she took it into her doctor, and my board member's also on the board of Mass Eye and Ear Infirmary. And when they took it into their doctor, those tests had been run. But in talking to her about why she did that, my board member has told me that she's now taking action on things that her doctor probably mentioned to her, several times and didn't do anything about. So I think it's interesting. What I'm most concerned about, though, is that linkage back to the care provider is in place, so that you can then sort through the information, see what's valuable, and take the action. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw Sean's presentation yesterday from the Institute of Health and Productivity Management, but he had stats on the city of Phoenix where they had gone and screened all the city workers, and the number of undiagnosed or unknown diabetics that they found, it was pretty staggering. Now that's extremely important if there's a do something on the end of it. I think total population health management companies are real good with the do something on the end of it when we make that linkage, and physicians are too. That's a good point. Any other comment on that?
I'm not a doctor, but I did stay in a Holiday Inn last night.
Right. Holiday Inn Express, I hope.
That's right. I've had a lot. I'm a purchaser. I represent an employers coalition, and what we see so frequently is that when we do screenings and the information is transferred, or if there's a DM program and there's an attempt to include the physician community in this disease management process, be it pharmacist counseling or whatever setting it might be in, rather than the physicians taking advantage of the information that's been generated for them, frequently we see resistance to that information. In fact, those doctors resent that someone else is intruding on their relationship with the patient and usurping their turf, as it will. And I think this is another question that really needs to be answered, and a culture issue that has some validity. And I can see where a human being would be resentful that someone else is intruding on this this relationship. Nonetheless, I think it does bear on your overall question, and what action happens when someone who leaves a screening enters the provider's domain, and how that external information is received and used.
And I think it's a great point, and we're about out of time, but if we look at the industry as a whole, and I'm not speaking for the industry, maybe a little bit, but we're dealing with our own ghosts in a way. Right? We came as an industry from the outside to address something that wasn't happening through the normal process of providing health care. And I think that we got painted with that brush as an industry, but I can tell you that as an industry and as the companies that are leading in this space, start looking at the leadership. How many MDs now are at the top echelons of total population health management companies? And I think the number is increasing because across the active companies in the industry, I think we understand that physician involvement is the key to this. That no longer are we coming in from the outside to fill gaps, but are a way to fill gaps from a provider-centric standpoint. We're upstairs talking about patient-centered care. Let's talk about provider-centered care. And that what total population health management companies can do is extend the reach of those physicians to help fill those gaps, but not from the outside, not even from the payer standpoint necessarily, but from the provider standpoint. And we've got to get over that, because I think that's the key to the acceptability and the adoption. And I'm proud of the progress that we're making pretty quickly, in that area, but there's a lot of work to be done. This will be the last question.
Getting back to motivation. I think you're going to have a much more motivated patient who sees the results and decides to contact the physician than to have the physician see the results from your biometric screening, contact the patient who may have no interest whatsoever in caring for his hemoglobin A1C that's 6.8.
I think it's a great point. When we invest our own time and energy in something and feel like we found this out because we took action, I think human nature is then to act upon it. And so I think that's a very valid point. So thank you very much.